Good evening. This is Tuesday night with Ben Stowe. I'm John Young with the Disc Jockey News. You're seeing Ben Stowe, and Ben, introduced your guest tonight.
John, this is my good friend and fellow closet geek. We're outing him right here, Peter Merrick.
Outing? Great.
Yeah, you're coming out of the geek closet.
Like nobody knows.
I was going to say, Ben, that's kind of a pretty well-publicized secret in the industry.
Yeah. Well, I think there are those who, still recognize Peter for what he's best known for, which is, being a performance presenter, an author, and I think people maybe don't understand what a geek he really is. And so we're actually here in Command Central at Peter Merrick's headquarters in Dallas, Texas. And with his permission, or if we just fast enough with the camera, we'll show you a few of the geeky things he's done here, and you'll know why Peter and I are such good friends.
Well, I think just to start off with, Peter, typically we talk about T-shirts, and it looks like you both are dressed for the part today.
He made me. He forced me to put on my Star Wars T-shirt. It was very, I really fought him on it, but I said, okay, fine.
Well, let me say this. When he went to his closet to get a Star Wars shirt, he only had about 200 of them to choose from. So
all I could say was, I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, the first reference. It begins. So let's take a look at the T-shirts, guys. Let's show them to the camera a little bit better if you could.
This is vintage. This T-shirt is almost as old as our camera guy, Philip, who's also wearing a Star Wars shirt. He's just not allowed to be in the frame.
And yours is a special edition, which means the one that George Lucas doctored up.
Han shot first.
That's right. That's right. Mine features the cast of Star Wars as a rock band. Darth Vader looks very much like Gene Simmons flying in the air, and we got Luke over there rocking out on the guitar, and I think they got Chewbacca playing the drums. So yeah, it's the cast of Star Wars rock band. I had to have it.
Nice stuff. Well, guys, since it's Tuesday night, we usually talk about gear, but truthfully, I'm a Star Wars fan, and Star Wars and geeky stuff is much more fun. Let's talk about some of that tonight a little bit. Our passion outside of the gear world.
Sounds good.
Oh, all right.
Because sometimes that's the cool part of it is people they see us and they see the DJ side of it. But let's talk about Peter. I know that Star Wars has been a big kind of a hobby fetish. How would you describe it?
I would describe myself as a Star Wars geek, but not a Star Wars freak. And I'll give you the simplest and shortest explanation. When Episode 3 came out, I actually camped out in a tent in front of the big Newport Theater in Newport Beach, California, to see Episode 3 premiere at the midnight show. And it was worth camping out for a week. The movie was horrible, but the people I went with made it all worthwhile. But the whole time that I was there, I never put on a costume. So that way I could go, now those people are freaks. That's the difference.
Well, and I'll tell you what, this show, we were supposed to be outing Peter as a geek, but I think maybe I'm going to out myself, and I'm going to lose some geek street cred here, but I neither camped out nor wore a costume. I went sort of at a time of my own convenience.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen any of the first three that came out, the 1, 2, and 3, not 4, 5, and 6? Did you ever see any of them at a midnight show, the premiere night?
I did not.
Yeah, you lost a lot of credit.
Yeah,
we can't.
Well, you know what? Hey, all right. Anybody who camped out and saw Episode 1 at midnight probably wishes they had chewed on tinfoil instead. So,
hey, I love the Star Wars prequels, just so everyone knows. There are fans out there. I found them just as compelling on my latest rewatch as the original trilogy.
Okay, Philip, we now Episode 1 has one fan.
Yes. Somebody out there loves Jar Jar.
The man behind the camera.
I think probably the lesson for me was that my and notably not to pick on Philip, he is younger than us, and I think that was a lesson for me. My son likes episodes 1, 2, and 3 better than 4, 5, and 6, and so I think maybe it wasn't as bad as some of us Star Wars purists thought. It just was the next generation. Now I think Peter and I were having this conversation earlier. We're all really anxious and excited to see what J.J. Abrams does with Episode 7. And I think we're hoping that it is, true to, the original trilogy of 4, 5, and 6. But I think it's important for them to bring in those younger people into the franchise too. So.
And to be honest, I've been really excited about it. I was thrilled when I heard they're bringing back Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and of course the original Han Solo. Sorry about the broken foot there, but is
that your fault?
Yeah, exactly. I dropped the door down too quick. But I was actually hoping that Han Solo would get killed off in like the first 15 minutes of the new one, just because it would be so dramatic and then take us in such a new direction. And based on the fact that they had to hold off shooting because he broke his foot, I have a feeling he's going to play a much more substantial role. So I don't think I'm going to get my wish.
See, I don't want to, I'm with you. I was glad to see the original, star cast back, and I don't want to see him get killed off. I'd like to see him in all three of them. That's just me. I'm a big Harrison Ford fan.
I think drama requires somebody to die, and somebody big like Han Solo fighting it, and that would be amazing. I just don't think it's actually going to happen.
I'd be in favor of seeing Jar Jar come back just so we can kill him again.
Yeah, I would too. I'd be fine with that. The show could probably work.
And Philip's over there saying, "No, no."
This is not the trilogy you were meant to be in.
Yes.
More references. So Ben, what took you down to Dallas?
I'm here for what's called the WFX show, which is the Worship Facilities Expo. Of course, we serve a lot of markets besides DJs, and I know that probably hurts some of our viewers, but you're still very important to us. But those demographics include, as you know from the previous episodes, Sports Intercom, Stadium Sound, Tour Sound. We do contracting for the Department of Defense, and of course, House of Worship is a really strong customer demographic for us.
Well, they need good speakers too.
They need good speakers too,
and good wireless mics that don't cut out.
Well, what good is preaching the word if nobody can hear it, right? So.
And lighting. I mean, for a lot of DJs out there, that's actually something some of them are getting into, and I think it's just such a large field that most people don't really comprehend how big it is.
Yeah, I think one statistic is that 40% of all pro audio purchases are made by House of Worship. Hopefully none of our competitors watch this video. Do your own research.
Right.
Move along. Oh, very fun. Very fun. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. So what kind of geeky stuff does Peter have at the Peter Mary headquarters?
Where do I start?
Yeah, this could be an all-day show.
I have a collection over on the bookshelf of my volumes of The Walking Dead, the graphic novel. I have my DVDs and Blu-rays on the wall with all my sci-fi stuff. I was showing Ben when we first came in, and we'll show you a shot of it in a bit. My entertainment console looks really scary because I have my original V15 Cerwin Vega speakers as part of the console, even though they're not operational right now, and my original Crown PowerTech 1 amplifier that I got back in 1994. So I retired those speakers a long time ago, but never got rid of them and thought they'd make good furniture. In just a little bit, we're going to be showing you another piece of furniture that I'm in the process of creating. Your laptop is actually, that's filming us, is sitting on a coffee table that I built out of two JBL Eons, the old gray ones. And I turned them sideways, put a Denon deck on it, and mounted it so that if you're sitting on my couch over there, you can actually mix music and control the volume and DJ in my living room. So,
and LED underlighting on it. It's really pretty nice. It's probably, I don't know if it's the most epic coffee table or the second most epic coffee table, but another friend of mine has a retired large format front of house console and a piece of glass over it, and likewise can actually mix on this, 1970s era front of house board that still works. So, you're right up there with that, though.
I figured if people come to my house, there's got to be no mistaking that I'm a DJ, and how cool would it be to sit at my coffee table and actually be able to mix music and just goof around with it? Why not? It'd be kind of fun.
And by the way, there is no mistaking he's a DJ. There's at least two functional DJ consoles in the house.
Oh yeah, don't forget this.
Oh yeah, there we go.
See here. I got this when I did my bit part in the movie Spaceballs. Is my answer to Daft Punk and Deadmau5. There we go.
Nice.
No, it's not up it.
I just got to find a way to install headphones in it, and I'm all set.
Well, we can do that before the day's over.
And if Ben can find a way to mount some pin spots on my shoulders, so as I move around the room, I've constantly pin spots, then I think that would be fabulous.
I think he's the man to do it. He could do it.
future episode. I have the toolbox that we looked at last week, so we can knock this out.
Did you just say he has the tools?
Yes, he does. He does have the tools and the ability. He can make it happen.
Can rebuild him. Bigger, better, faster, stronger than before.
And able to mix.
Able to mix.
Oh, cool. So let's take a look at some of that stuff then you guys were talking about. Give us a tour, Peter, if you can.
Okay, so we're going to turn the laptop around so you can see my entertainment console. And there you see the two Cerwin Vega V15s, and right in the center of that console you're going to see a milk crate. This is a milk crate that I cut out to hold my Crown PowerTech. It holds my cable DVR and my Sony Blu-ray surround sound. And I just had to go with a milk crate because that's what I used to haul albums.
That's very authentic.
Back in the day, right?
Very authentic.
And so then I've got my Cerwin Vegas, which I have plugged into the PowerTech, but I haven't put a power source on them to be able to play some music. And then I've got my big screen up there. So the big screen actually plays through these two speakers out here, and then I've got a bass down below and two surround sound in the back as well. So it works out very nicely.
Now, Peter, is that one of your first sound systems as a mobile DJ?
These are my very first speakers that I bought in 1994 to start my mobile DJ business, and that was the amp that I bought to power it.
Okay.
I used to have the original Denon deck, a Denon 2000, and it has since retired and bit the dust a long time ago. But yeah, that's those three pieces are from the original Peter Mary DJ booth that I would carry into weddings and so forth.
Very nice.
Yep.
A piece of history right there for us.
And to be honest, I actually got tired of these and retired them because I learned about speaker compression. And when I first got them, they would sit on the floor because I didn't have speaker stands. And it was very common to see me jump up on top of the speaker and lead a YMCA or something like that because I had worked at the Black Angus and had learned to do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then I discovered speaker stands, which improved the sound even further. But one of the other things I discovered was that after about 3 hours of these pumping really well, my voice started sounding like that because they went into speaker compression.
Ah, sure.
So I moved over to my JBL Eons, and then the JBL Eons would still do that occasionally, not very often. And then my Eons got stolen, and then I moved to Bose. I've been a Bose man ever since. So, but yeah, those are the originals.
Very neat.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So now we're going to back the laptop over there, and we're going to show you the coffee table. So this is the coffee table here. We're going to lift the lid off. And there you have two JBL Eon speakers with a Denon deck. It's a 2600F. And it's got the controller set up. And I put two volume control knobs right where the screws would go for the mounting, because I actually created my own mounting on the back of it. So you can actually control the volume for each channel. They both feed into both speakers at the same time. This actually works as a splitter that brings both channels in, and you can see the LED underlighting underneath it. And so when the project is done, it'll be covered with plexiglass, and people will be able to mix music while sitting at my coffee table.
So now, Ben, you're kind of a wiring guy. Now, what kind of a grade would you give Peter on his wiring job there?
I'd give him a pretty good grade, actually. It's well dressed, it's neat, it's secured. I don't really see anything glaring that is objectionable to me.
That's because you can't see underneath this, because there's all kinds of cable underneath this that's managed with nothing but duct tape. All bundled up and stuck to the bottom of it with duct tape. But I screwed a lot of it down just because I knew it would look good.
Yeah.
And so I'm a bit of an organizer. People told me that I'm kind of analytical, or just the first four letters, and so I figured I'd let that part shine through. And when it's plexiglass, you're going to see all that, so it'll look pretty cool.
Well, now, if you recall, in a previous episode, we had Red Green make a celebrity appearance, and now we have Peter making a celebrity appearance. If we could get the two together, I bet Red Green would give him good marks for his duct tape. So
Yeah. He's covering the bases there.
Epic episode. There's something that Peter mentioned that I think is good for the theme of our show, and that's when he was talking about starting out in '94 and his speakers on the floor. We see this a lot in the forums. I'm back on my soapbox now, but we see people who are just starting out and they don't have the skill set that maybe now I have or Peter has or you have, or maybe a lot of our viewers have, and they come looking for help. Experience is something you only get one way. We say in our company the definition of experience is something you get the minute after you needed it. And I think that's maybe some words of encouragement for people who are starting out, and some encouragement for people who are established, to remind ourselves that we all learned this somehow, some way, and none of us probably came out with the same level of skill set that we have now. So even someone as accomplished and as notable as Peter Mary, someone that people pay a lot of money to go listen to, you know, Peter tells them how to do things. You know, when he first started out, he did things in a way that, you know, we would all agree is not the best way.
I can tell you one that's kind of fun. You look at the good old Denon deck, and you remember how these have the CD drawer that pops out and they extend out like that? The original DJ booth that I used with those Circle in Vegas had the mounting right up to the front. And I'm working a New Year's Eve show, and I popped out the deck to drop in a CD. While the deck was open, somebody came walking behind my booth, clipped it, and broke it.
Ooh.
I had to run out to the car and grab a little portable CD deck in order to have 2 channels to be able to mix off of the rest of the night. And then I took the booth apart and pulled out the braces and moved them inside 6 inches. And ever since then, whenever I build a booth like the one I have over there, I always inset my CD deck by 6 inches so that when it pops out, it's still not coming out past the edge of the booth, so that nobody could ever do that to me again.
No.
Experience.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Well, let's, you know, why don't you put your coffee table back together? For anybody out there who isn't experienced and doesn't know who Peter Mary is, I want to embarrass my friend and tell the world a little bit about who Peter Mary is.
Oops, let me put that pedestal down there for you. There we go. And we're back.
And we're back. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Extreme close-up. Oh, sorry.
Somebody wants to see that. So, Peter's not only a very accomplished entertainer and a geek and a good friend, but also a very successful author. And I can actually say that I have a friend who is a wedding planner and a decorator who was absolutely blown away that I know Peter. And he sent her a signed copy of the book, and I think she fainted at that point. But, you know, it's really fun for all of us who've kind of grown up in the industry, and you know, we know, you know, who we are on a human level. But it's really neat to hear someone refer to your friend in that context. You know, like, oh my God, you know, Peter Mary. So, anyway, so I don't know how many, you know, 50 million copies or whatever. New York Times.
I wish.
Bestseller. Yeah, we're happy too.
I'd be competing with Rick and Warren.
And you'd be buying lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter's book, The Best Wedding Reception Ever, is available in bookstores nationwide and probably globally. He has a number of DVDs, and he does a number of presentations and training seminars that, by all accounts, are pretty top-notch. So just take a look at his name, and I'm certain that there are things he can do for your business that will be beneficial.
You know, whenever I get the chance to help DJs improve what they do, nothing makes me prouder than watching them take what they learn and go do something with it. And I was just talking the other night with a friend of mine about a good friend of mine in the business, Austin Beaver, out of Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
And Austin came to my first 2-day event, the professional process that I did back in 2009. At the time, his company was called like Nightlight or Nightlife Entertainment. Didn't have his picture on anything, and Austin's a handsome guy.
He's a good-looking fella.
He's almost as good looking as you.
I hope you're watching, Austin.
And I gave grief about it. I'm like, you're not branding yourself properly. And he went home and he hired a company to do his branding, and now he goes under Austin Beaver Experience. You go to austinbeaver.com, you'll see his website, and he's getting top dollar in Seattle and working all over the country. And he did that. I didn't do that. I gave him some tools, and then he went out and did the hard work. But it's so much fun to look at that and just go, awesome, so cool. You know, it's nice to light the fire and then see what they do with it.
Peter, what year was the first year that you started to speak at DJ conventions?
That would have been 2000 when Mark Farrell invited me to help him with the Getting What You're Worth series. He was asked to do it as a 3-part series, and he asked me to anchor it and do. He did 10 minutes of the third one, and then I did the last hour. And I actually was his. The affectionate term I use. I was his PowerPoint bitch, and so I was doing all of his PowerPoint. Come off well, and so. That was my first experience. And I got to tell you, showing up at Mobile Beat for the very first time and being on stage, a little daunting, especially when see how many people were there. That was probably one of the bigger DJ shows I've ever seen. And since then, they all seem to have like trickled down a little bit. And but yeah, that's where it all started back in 2000. I'd been doing speaking and teaching at Saddleback Church prior to that, so I had experience as a public speaker, but that was my first break into speaking to my industry.
Very nice. And then I actually ran across the 5 Pillars CD set the other day.
6.
6 pillars. I think wasn't it 5 at the time?
It's always been 6.
The disc must have had 5 in there because I remember. Anyway, 5 rang a bell. Come on, there was a 5. I'm sure of it. Okay, maybe not. Maybe the pillars of wedding marketing.
Yes. Yeah, it was a CD-ROM. It was based on a seminar I did in 2002. I've since turned it into. I've since turned it into a DVD product. Now that you mention it. And believe it or not, this little bit that I did back in 2002, 2 hours worth of content, has helped a ton of DJs to make their marketing much more professional. And see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 6. 6.
Okay. Here now I remember. You gave us 1 at the show, and then we could get the other 5 on the disc.
Right. I gave them highlights of the other 5. That's right. I expounded the first one for an hour. And then the second hour was all about the other 5, but they had to buy the DVD to get the rest of that.
That's the best you could come up with?
Yeah. It was what I did. I bought the DVD.
It was a good cover. It was a good cover.
It was. I bought the DVD and I was so excited. And truthfully, I pulled it out and it's like, look at here. This is an old CD, guys. This is how we used to get our information at shows.
Yeah, that was a CD-ROM that I actually created myself. It was supposed to go along with the slides. Didn't work very well. And now it's a DVD. I'm actually planning on remastering the DVD on it because the content on it is still rocking today. You know, it's 12 years later.
Philip? This is called a DVD. This is what we older people used to. Yeah.
It'll be on Netflix and what was that other thing? BitTorrent. Yeah, look for it on BitTorrent.
That's when you know you've arrived. Is when people are
sharing it on BitTorrent. Yeah.
My DVDs are on a BitTorrent. I don't think I've actually arrived yet.
That was when you brought me out to Minneapolis, though. That was my first visit out there to come speak, and if I remember correctly, I spoke in Wisconsin at the Dells, and then came down and spoke at your conference. Yeah. And I did like 3 seminars at the Dells, and then 3 seminars for you. Same 3. Oh my God, that was a marathon.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was a good show, though. Good times.
Yes, it was. I remember quite well. In fact, I very much enjoyed that one. Although I learned something when I went to Wisconsin for the first time because Mark Hudnall took me out to dinner, and we went into a restaurant, and we walked in the door, and we were in a room. And then he went in another door to go in the restaurant, and there was these things around the wall in the room we walked into, and they were coat racks. And I wasn't used to that being from Southern California, but being in Wisconsin at that time of year, I kind of knew why, so I figured it out.
Yes, hang the animal skins over there so you can wear them on the way out. That's what we do. So let's before we wrap it up, Peter, what's next in the world of Peter Mary?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to take him to my favorite little dive place over here. It's a little bar that serves amazing bar food, and it's called Lee Harvey's. What a perfect name for a place in Dallas. But what's next? I'm working on. I've got a couple of ideas for a couple more follow-up books. I'm working on a couple more DVD products from some seminars that I've done in the past that have been helpful. Still in the process of trying to turn my 2-day professional process, which is 16 hours of content, into DVD content. It's taking some time to get the editing done on that, unfortunately. Can't imagine why it would take long to edit 16 hours of content. But really, right now, my focus is on trying to refocus a little bit on my own business, because I've been here in Dallas for about 3 years, but I haven't done enough to try and brand myself here. I've been doing weddings all across the country, and I want to start developing some more business here in Dallas, and within maybe 10, 15 hours worth of driving from here. And so I'm doing some work on my website and starting to look at putting out some new video content, but it won't be for DJs, it'll be for brides and grooms.
Sure.
And I figure it's time to take some of the stuff that's in that book and give them some ideas on what their wedding can be and what I think it should be. Kind of raise that bar of expectation a little bit so they quit looking at us as just music. So.
I think it's a great approach. You know, we're obviously working to develop better entertainers in the DJ industry with people like Peter and other presenters working on the performance side. Obviously, we're trying to help on the technical side, but if you raise the demand of the consumer, that's going to also help raise everybody up. I was just thinking when you said 16 hours of content, my Geek Bootcamp DVD, I think is about an hour runtime, and I think we had like 3 weeks of shooting for that. I can't even imagine 16 hours of content, man. you're an animal.
Well, we filmed it live at one of my 2-day events. So we brought in John Gouldsby with Godfather Films, and we actually filmed it with 3 cameras and mics all throughout the room, and just did like I would normally do one of my 2-day training sessions. And so we just filmed the whole thing in a straight 2 days, and then did some pickups the day after. So
my greatest hope is that the outtakes from that DVD never surface.
Oh, from yours?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You watch the DVD, believe it or not, there were outtakes. That was the best we could do.
Outtakes are fun.
I'm sure at some point they'll surface.
They'll all
Steve Carell impersonation.
they'll all come together here. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, gentlemen, we'll wrap things up for tonight. Thank you very much, Peter, for being a guest with us tonight.
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it. I've been trying to get Ben to come visit for a while. He's been to town a few times, but I've had to go visit him at football stadiums because, you know, he's controlling all the wireless and the audio for some NCAA championship thing, you know, and he gets us on the field, which is great. But, you know, this is the first time I've had him over to my place. Thrilled to have him here.
Yeah, good.
That was a fun day. You know, Peter came to one of the national championship games that I was working, and I got him down onto the field. I think it was the day before the game. I don't think we could get access on game day, you know. But anyway, it was really fun to see someone as accomplished as him. Just a little bit starstruck.
Oh, it was great.
He's like, wow. That was a good feeling for him. And he wore a Star Wars shirt then, too.
Yeah, I did.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, gentlemen, it's time for us to wrap it up. This is Ben Stowe, Peter Murray, and this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Oh, and Phil. They let him into view. Thanks for running the camera for us, Philip. Once again, this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News TV. Comments, put them in the comment section. Got some ideas, thoughts, whatever, down below. We'll do our best to answer them for you. Good night.